This is the moment that all designers treasure. It's the moment we love because we get to bring our clients in to see how all the elements have come together to create the home of their dreams. This is the reveal. Hi, I'm Julie Couch. Welcome to this beautiful farmhouse. It is the most welcoming, beautiful drive up the driveway. It's lined with really tall old trees, and there are no power lines, which is really unusual when you're coming from the city. This is one of my favorite projects because it is so cozy and so inviting. We started working on it about 8 years ago. It's a family home. We've added some spaces, we've transformed some spaces, but really we just wanted to keep the same vibe and the same feel. There's definitely something to a southern porch that will make you see a rocking chair and think you should have a glass of iced tea and lots of hours to sit and stare at all this gorgeous, gorgeous property. I love how there's brick pavers, but then we've done a new white crisp paint on the outside and these really beautiful, soft, kind of green-gray shutters. It really is kind of like that same mix we want of the new and the polished, and then the really old and the warm, to just make it feel welcoming and fresh, but really old and timeless. Into this front living room foyer space, you are immediately greeted with tons of books, tons of collections on the shelves, beautiful family photos, and it just immediately sets the tone that this is a warm and cozy home. We did do some fun things. We took an old antique piece that had been stripped. We chose not to paint it, to just leave it imperfect with this gorgeous patina. But then we did a modern black and white photo with a little nod to the farm, but with a little bit more whimsy. We continued through the house to add these little glamorous touches. For instance, the chandelier in this room, very unexpected, with the rustic bookshelves and all the books. But I love that she wanted some little feminine touches in this house because it is very masculine. It is a farmhouse. It's very rustic, but I think really it creates their personality and really makes it a special and personal home. And next to the pretty foyer is this dining room. This dining room was actually a patio that we converted so she would have this light, bright dining area if she wanted to do more formal dinners. She did want to bring this light in and keep the furniture light as well, so nothing felt heavy. And we also wanted it to be a little more feminine than the rest of the house. We did skirted dining chairs, obviously much more feminine than lots of legs and wood tones. And then I had this giant dining table made, but I didn't want it to look perfect. So I had this texture applied to it, so it gives you a bit of rustic, but still soft. It's not black, it's kind of an off brown black color that's a little more interesting. I love that we've incorporated lots of circles. So to me, I always feel like if you have a lot of straight lines, you should bring in some curvy pieces, some soft pieces. So we did a round mirror. We did this round kind of wheel light, kind of a nod to an old light that would be on a farm, but in a brass finish. And then we did these fun discs that are round. And we just brought in a very curvy lamp that has this beautiful soft glaze on it. And again, it's just that soft green. But next to it, you have these photos that are very rustic, very old, that we had framed for the space. And I love that it's such a juxtaposition to this art, which is oversized, very abstract, and just very soft and much more feminine in tone. The back wall of windows is kind of the showstopper, if you will, because we didn't want to lose the patio aspect because you can stand here and see the most beautiful views. But we also wanted to have the luxury of closing it off at night if we wanted to and making it a little more cozy. So we did beautiful drapery. I had a custom drapery rod built so it could just simply wrap around the room and you could adjust the drapes wherever you wanted. So if sunlight is coming in and you want to filter that, it's a great way to do that. And it also just gives you softness. We decided not to use a rug in this particular room, which is very odd for me, but what I liked was these are some floors that match the original floors. They were able to take out the beam and use it again, the flooring and use it again. There's such continuity from each space. You really feel like everything has been here forever, even though this particular room is a bit more feminine. The light in here is so amazing, and it just illuminates all these light, bright pieces, and it really gives its own personality in comparison with the rest of the house. When I help clients renovate or build a new home, we throw the term mudroom around very loosely. Typically, that means there's lots of backpacks and there's lots of shoes, maybe some sporting equipment. This one's a little different. This actually is a mud room from the farm, coming in muddy, lots of waterproof boots, lots of hats and coats that are muddy, cowboy hats. But at the same time, we have this really clean painted shiplap that makes it a little softer, some pretty baskets to organize. The unexpected touch is the brass light. It's just kind of a whimsical and feminine touch to an otherwise masculine space. And again, it just gives it a little more personality. There are so many things that I really love about this kitchen. It was renovated several years ago, and we decided to bring in some farmhouse touches so it made sense with the rest of the house, but we also wanted it to feel modern and fresh and clean. It was a 1970s kitchen before, so nothing like this. We wanted all the modern conveniences, but we still wanted some age and some interest. I don't really ever like to see a refrigerator, so I do panel front appliances if I ever can. This was the perfect place to do it because you're so close to the keeping room. We didn't want there to be too much metal, too much stainless steel. We really wanted it to feel warm and a little bit more like furniture. Speaking of, we decided to do this piece. This is actually the pantry. So I didn't want there just to be walls of cabinets, which would be the standard. I thought it would be really fun to create a different piece that looks more like a furniture piece that you could have moved into the kitchen to house all of your food. The sink, the apron sink, again, feels kind of a little bit more welcoming, a little bit more casual. One thing that I do love that I did in my house as well is the unlacquered brass plumbing fixtures. The plumbing fixtures don't have any coating on them. So as you use them, they start to age. They get very imperfect, they look old. It's just a really pretty look that gives the room some age. When they renovated, one thing they were super excited about is getting a new range. The old one was not great and they love to entertain. So this is somewhere to do pancakes on the griddle and really have friends and family over. The countertops, obviously white marble, which is one of my favorites. This is a honed finish, which means it's not polished. It's a little more forgiving day to day. A lot of people really worry about etching and spots on marble. This is a really good way to do it, where it's a little more durable. The glass cabinets, we wanted to do some display areas. So we did this glass cabinet and it houses all her everyday dishes. It's kind of a pale blue. They have a little bit of age to them. And again, this backsplash. So it has the look of bricks, which you see all over the house. I loved that this was kind of clean and fresh way to do that. It's a white glaze, but it's got a rough face and it's very irregular. One thing that she asked me for is something really unexpected and modern in the kitchen. Since everything else was gonna feel a little softer, more like a farmhouse, she wanted something really kind of glamorous and unexpected. So we chose to do a light over the island, this big, oversized, modern brass pendant. And it kind of, again, is the perfect mix of new and old and a lot of personality. And just next to the kitchen is the keeping room. A keeping room is the space that your guests can hang out and lounge with you while you're cooking. It's very casual. The intent is for it to be very comfortable. So in this one, there's actually this old leather recliner, and you can tell it is beat up. It's got all this texture. It's just gonna get prettier with age, and it just gives it this cozy, cozy feeling. We've got a reading lamp and of course built-in bookshelves that were here. Everything has been painted white, this crisp white. It was paneling before, so we just kind of did a refresh. And then the coffee table was a bench that she had, and I thought this would be the perfect solution for this narrow space. If we use a traditional coffee table, it's really gonna be in the way, and we really wanted people to feel comfortable and this to be a pass-through, but also a great hangout area. Then you'll notice a couple things that are really unexpected, these lamps. The one in the back, the floor lamp, is a little bit mid-century. It actually looks like bamboo, so very unexpected for a farmhouse. As well as this lamp, we fell in love with this deep orange color, and then we echoed that color in the velvet pillows. This is the main powder room. It already had this great beadboard, so we just added some navy grass cloth for a little bit of texture and warmth, and then we created another gallery wall with more of their beautiful pieces of art, and these are all really special photographs, family photographs and sketches, so this was a great place to display some of those. We did a simple washstand, so it has a little bit of a vintage retro feel, as well as the faucet, which also has the cross handles, has the little knobs that say hot and cold. So it definitely has a vintage feel, but yet very updated. The homeowners had a lot of really sentimental pieces of art that we wanted to use, and oftentimes it is difficult to place really small pieces. They kind of get lost on your walls. So we made a gallery wall with all of their beautiful paintings, and it really is just a great place to display all those things you love that you otherwise don't have a spot for. This was a piece of furniture that my client had already, as well as these chairs. So we just did a simple linen seat, kept these as they were. And then this is a really fabulous piece. This is an antique bench, but it actually is a storage bench. So it's just a really cool piece. It has a lot of patina, it has a lot of interest. It's a great visual. As you come in from outside, there's French doors across from it, which again is the great indoor-outdoor feel. And of course, I found a vintage rug, so it had a little bit of wear to it, and it felt a little bit softer, a little bit cozier. When you walk down these stairs, you're in the family room. This was an addition that was done in 2011, and the goal of this room was really to have a big space that they could entertain lots of friends and family. And you'll notice in the other rooms, since it's the core of the house, it's an old farmhouse, the ceilings are a bit lower. They're around 8 feet and a little lower in some other spots. So when you walk into this room, it has these huge ceilings. It feels even larger and even more open. So it's a really nice transition from the really cozy rooms to this really big room that they can entertain in. And I love how they did the brick floors. The brick floors are exactly the same as the porches. So again, you have this great indoor-outdoor feel, you have this great texture and instant age and patina. And then the ceilings in here are fantastic because they're a really warm wood tone. So instead of it being new and too new and perfect, it's still got some texture and some interest on the ceiling. And then the furniture is very similar in feel because it is very imperfect, it's very textured, it's very beat up, and I love it. This was her table when we started working together. These were her chairs, so we just simply recovered the seat in a linen. And then I wanted to add some softness, so the host chairs kind of look like a potato sack or an old dish towel. I thought they were very farmhouse, so we added those for a little bit of softness at the end. These cabinets, you can tell they're very old and very loved. These were hers, and I thought this was a great way to use them because they are actually storage, but they're also a way that we could display more art on easels and their sculpture collection, and again, just bring in all the things that make them feel like it's home. As you enter this part of the space, you see this is really the main seating area. So when we started working together, they had a lot of antiques, a lot of vintage pieces, a lot of beautiful pieces, but they had very few deep, comfy, upholstered pieces. And they really wanted that in this room since it would be the main hangout. So we added this really tall sofa that's got a very classic design, almost like a wing chair. And I think it really helps maximize the feel of the ceiling being so tall. An iron coffee table that just kind of gives a little weight to the center of the room. It also adds another texture. You have this pair of chairs that's really feminine and it kind of gives you a little bit of curve in an otherwise pretty masculine space. And then across the room to kind of balance those chairs, you have this big oversized chair and ottoman in a beautiful cognac leather. And the combination just feels really collected and beautiful. What's also nice about this chair is it really balances out the rest of the seating. We have a pretty tall sofa, we have a pair of chairs. So with it being chunky and heavy, it really balances out the feel of the room. And then you'll notice there's no TV here. So I had these cabinets built and I had a pair built. They are massive, but what they've served to do is kind of house all the blankets, house all the everyday stuff, house the games, but also house a TV. So it's been really handy for us to have that TV when we want it, or when we don't, it's hidden. And then this table, also really massive. It's about 14 feet long. We found this and we loved it for this wall, but we also thought it was a lot of empty space and we wanted to warm it up and at the same time add some extra seating. So I had these benches made in this really pretty kind of a green color, and it just kind of makes it a little more polished, gives you a little bit more seating. And then again, we created another gallery wall. They had so much wonderful art that was sentimental. We wanted to showcase it, and we thought this would be the perfect way to do it. And with the width of this table, it really gives us the perfect foundation to build. Guest bath, and this was a fun room to do because we completely revamped it. We ripped everything out and started over, and as you saw in other rooms, we really made an effort to keep a farmhouse feel, but to add these really unexpected kind of whimsical touches where we could. So the first thing you'll notice is this wall covering. It's actually deer heads, but it's this really soft pastel green. Obviously very feminine with the gold. So it's just a fun mix of kind of the farmhouse, but in a new way. I had this vanity built and I wanted it to be really pretty and have some warm texture in the wood tone, but I also wanted clean lines and very straight. So I did really beautiful antique hardware that matches the faucet. And again, it's kind of a more modern spin on the cross handles and the simple design. And it was just a really fun way to mix these elements as well as this light. It looks very much like a schoolhouse pendant and has that kind of old farmhouse feel. Across the room from the vanity is a fabulous clawfoot tub. It is not new, but we found one that looks old. It's perfect in this space. We did penny tile on the floor, and then we bought a brass track that we could literally get a curtain made that would wrap all the way around the tub for privacy when it was being used, but when it's not, it could be open and you could see the gorgeous tub with the pretty claw feet. on your way to the primary bedroom, you walk through her office. She manages the farm, kind of oversees everything. So she did need a generous work surface. She had this desk, so we added a really feminine chair. It's got casters, so it's very practical. She had a pair of chairs that didn't match, but they were big, comfy armchairs. So we thought that would kind of lend itself to that collected vibe, and we chose to cover those in different fabrics. We hung some more of their art above, and then we added this cabinet for storage because we thought it was really interesting, kind of a conversation piece, but again, houses all the necessities of your office. And of course, one more feminine touch, this lamp, a little bit unexpected, but it kind of has an antique feel, also very feminine. We had to do our unexpected piece in this room as well. So we added this very oversized Capiz light. It's got all these Capiz shelves. It's very glamorous and very unexpected. I love when my clients have a feel or vision for a room and they have an inspiration piece. This is the primary bedroom, and my client had this beautiful painting. It's by Wanda Choate, and I love it because it has the clothesline with all the dresses. It has a real farmhouse feel. She also had this antique settee, and she thought it would be fun to recover it in this wild pattern, and she loved this color scheme. So it really gave me a jumping off point to do the rest of the bedroom. And so it was really fun to pull in all these blues and some of this tangerine color throughout the space. Since we knew we wanted to use a lot of white and a lot of navy and a lot of blue tones, we did very simple bedding with this really pretty embroidery on it, which was a little bit sweeter. And then we added a little bit of a funky element with this geometric. And then you'll see behind the bed, there was this really odd window. It was very small, it was off center. So I decided just to treat the entire wall with drapery, and I thought that would kind of frame in the bed properly. And it also gives you a lot of softness behind the bed since it is a wooden bed. And then I found these lamps that are very oversized. They almost look like antique crocks, which I loved, but they're on this very glamorous antique side table, which is very much like the one in the dining room that she loved, and she wanted to echo that in this room. This chest is great because it's got lots of storage, but also looks very worn. So it just feels right at home in the space. It's got a geometric design though, which makes it feel a little bit more modern and a little bit more interesting. And then of course, the chandelier. Since we had these gorgeous tall ceilings, this was a great place to bring in a little femininity and something a little different. This is actually made of cocoa beads. So it's not something you would expect, but it's also a very natural looking element, and it gives you a lot of drama. My client asked for something that was very soft, very spa-like, felt very clean. So instead of doing an all-white bath, we decided to do white countertops, but to do this soft blue-gray as a base cabinet. And it just gives it a little more interest. It's something a little bit unique. And then I love a wall mount faucet. I think it's so much more interesting. It's so beautiful. This one does have the same vintage feel as some of the other rooms. And then of course, the decorative backsplash. This is a really unique way to bring some interest into this space, and also it's very functional. So many of my clients love wallpaper, but they're a little scared of it. She's not, she's fun. So we were able to do a little kind of peekaboo moment in the water closet. And we have this super fun blue and white paper. It just gives it a little something extra. And just beyond me, you see this beautiful tub. We did this gorgeous tub filler that is new. It matches all the plumbing fixtures with the antique tub. So it's a really cool collected look, an antique little bench. So So you have a little bit more of that texture, a little bit more of the age, even though it is a new and crisp base. And of course, the best part of this room is the view. You can look outside and see trees, see acres and acres of land. It's really the perfect place to relax. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed creating it. I'm Julie Couch, and this is The Reveal.